Our special guest, Leonard Ulrich, received his Bachelor of Education degree in 1991 and in 1992, earning his Bachelor of Arts degree as well. He also acquires a double major in Western history and was also a teacher for 7 years. Becoming aware of the New World Order during a mentally violent 3 day period in June 2005, it was at that point he knew his skills as a teacher, amateur historian, prophecy enthusiast, builder, and technician had to be put to good use. For the past 5 years to the present day, Leonard's extensive research into the New World Order has been remarkable and astonishing. This has resulted in a film produced by Leonard himself entitled NWO Secret Societies and Biblical Prophecy, which can be seen on Leonard's YouTube channel and has been pulling thousands of viewers every day. He strongly believes that the evil we see today is organized, and the good news for those who are Christians is that the which is opposed to God is fulfilling biblical prophecy as a demonstration of God's power. The paranormal and beyond would like to welcome Leonard Ulrich to the program. How you doing, Leonard?
I'm doing great, Michael, Lindsay, Quinton. Greetings from Winnipeg, Manitoba, where last night it got down to minus 40.
Wow, really, really cold.
Oh, yeah, but we can handle it.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So, what got you into this whole New World Order and your research into this?
Well, as a former history teacher, trained amateur historian, I was always interested in the past. As a Christian who reads the Bible, I was always interested in Bible prophecy, and no one ever told me until I had to find it out for myself that that society is organized. There's a power structure behind it, and even though we are given the illusion that we're free, we're not really free. There are people, and there have always been people, who have tried to control the global situation for themselves. And I had to discover this the hard way. No one ever taught me this. I just literally bumped into it.
Okay, so what would you say the whole New World Order actually is, and what are their agenda?
I would say the New World Order is about control. Control of information, control of finances, the creation of wars and rumors of wars for select groups' own benefit at our expense.
Does Okay, well, we have, of course, we have the government, and to a lot of people, they think that that's already they're in control of everything right now. But there is a hierarchy or a higher power that's pretty much in control, which is what we're going to talk about, which is what you're saying is possibly the Illuminati.
That's right. The core of all this is absolutely satanic, not because I say so, but because the people involved say so. In my film, which now has 250,000 views and is getting thousands of views a day now, I have quote after quote after quote of major historical figures who are all talking about Lucifer. Now, I'm not saying this, they are. So not only do we have people who want to steer global situations to their own benefit, they're also talking about doing so on behalf of Lucifer.
Wow, I've watched your film and it's very compelling, and a lot of compelling facts also that's on there. I mean, when did the Illuminati basically, how did they come about and how did they start?
Well, the Illuminati were started officially on May 1st, 1776 in Bavaria by a renegade Catholic professor named Adam Weishaupt. Now, contrary to a lot of opinions out there, and there's much more disinformation about the Illuminati than there is actual solid information, Adam Weishaupt was not a Jesuit and was not a Jew. He just happened to be a renegade Catholic professor. And he became a renegade professor because his father was the rector at Ingolstadt University, and he came across a lot of subversive books. And Adam Weishaupt's parents died when Adam was young. So all Adam did in his free time was read a bunch of banned and occult books. And that is where Adam Weishaupt got the knowledge he needed to start up a plot within Freemasonry about literally controlling the world.
But this actually dates back further to, I remember you in the video you were talking about how the Sumerians and the Egyptians and how it's, I mean, everything jumbled into the Illuminati from, if you want to go back to Freemasonry, and was it the Jacobis or the Rosicrucians, I believe,
Well,
started
basically,
it, right?
what she's trying to say is, does this go back how the religion at one point was pure, but they took it in a whole different way of the whole Jewish religion?
Absolutely. Going all the way back, let's go back to Sumeria, Egypt, and Babylon. What you've got is a tiny elite who were worshipped as gods or as intermediaries between the population and the gods. And what the elite discovered is that if they had a core of knowledge which they kept to themselves and didn't share with the general public, then they could literally use that knowledge at the population's expense. For example, if you know when the next solar eclipse is going to occur and others around you don't, then what you can do to the public is say, you know what, you better sacrifice, let's say, your firstborn sons to us as gods because we'll threaten to darken the sun. And you actually do that knowing full well when the next solar eclipse is going to occur, then people are going to see with their own eyes the illusion of a small group being able to darken the sun, and they're literally going to have the fear of God put into them, and the population is going to do whatever you say because you know something that the population doesn't. So that level of keeping knowledge to yourself and deceit and control started at least 5,000 years ago and got carried up through one society after another until May 1st, 1776, Adam Weishaupt comes along, who's an incredibly smart man. I'd call him an evil genius. And all he did for 2 decades was read occult books, which his uncle, of course, at the university level banned, and Adam read. So this guy was literally steeped into the occult, and he took it literally one step further by establishing a secret society within the secret society of Freemasonry. So you got a secret society within a secret society, which is why it's almost impossible to crack.
Wow. We actually have a phone call, and I believe the question is probably for you.
Well, hey guys, what's up? This is a fan of yours, Randy, and Lindsay. We love you. We are all here to root you on. We love you, babe. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for asking. And you have a question?
I do. I'm just wondering, I mean, the Illuminati is actually sort of a conspiracy theory, right? So if everybody has the ability to think what they want to, and it's a free society to think whatever you want, I'm just curious, what do you guys think?
Leonard?
Well, you have the illusion of freedom. I'll give you one piece of evidence which becomes so obvious that it's amazing how long the wool's been pulled over our eyes. In 1913, almost 100 years ago, a private group of bankers established the Federal Reserve. They printed up pieces of paper which were the substitute for gold and silver, which have been considered money for 5,000 years. And you and I and everyone else has been working for at least 100 years in the United States for pieces of paper that get printed up out of thin air with interest and cost the bankers absolutely nothing. So what you consider money is really an illusion, and it's been going on for 100 years.
Well, that's a fascinating theory. Randy, I want to just say thank you for calling in and thank you for that question. And Leonard, that was a great answer.
So Leonard, where does the Illuminati stand today? I mean, I know it affects us all, but they're still working their plan, I should say.
Absolutely. Now, here's the key. The Illuminati is a philosophy, just like Christianity is a philosophy. It's a way of life. Once you subscribe to the philosophy, you're going to practice what you preach, whether it's for good or for evil. So as a philosophy, as an idea, you can't kill it. You can pass the idea on from one generation to the other. For example, as a Christian, I never knew any of the original disciples, but I subscribed to their philosophy. Well, it's the same thing with the Illuminati. The Illuminati were a relatively small group, and even though the Illuminati were discovered in Bavaria a few years after they were founded by Adam Weishaupt, and they were driven underground by the German government, that philosophy spread. And even though the Illuminati were kicked out of Germany, the Illuminati philosophy popped up in France and kicked off the French Revolution. And then it went from France and other European nations to America. And it found a welcome home in America because American society in the 1770s was a growing, dynamic, vibrant society. For the first time ever, you had a major nation that was free of control from a theocracy and from a monarchy. So that really spread freedom in the United States, but that freedom was taken advantage of by the Illuminati. And even your first president, George Washington, in his own handwriting in the National Archives, talked about the Illuminati taking over the United States.
Wow.
That's fascinating.
That's
Leonard,
freaky.
we have another caller for you. Mark, are you on?
Hey, Michael, Lindsay, it's Mark. Hope you enjoyed my package I sent you last time.
Oh,
Yes, we did. Thank you so much for sending us your fan mail. And you know what? We actually are,
we're actually working on that show and getting Brother Michael Diamond on the
Exactly.
program for you. So what's your question for Leonard?
Okay, Leonard, throughout your research, have you ever heard of one of the big wigs in Freemasonry by the name of Albert Pike and his literary masterwork, Morals and Dogma, where he talked about the 3 world wars? And of course, Leonard, the first World War I, remember, we got the League of Nations, the communists would be brought to power, the czars would be overthrown in Russia. World War II, we would expand between the fascists and the communists and such. And then World War III, get this, we'll get Islam, the Christians, and the Zionists and the Jews to duke it out. And then when they're done, basically exhausted, people will become so disheartened with the religions that they'll welcome in the age of Lucifer, the New World Order.
Yes, thank you so much for calling, because you hit the nail right on the head of a popular myth. And I have to burst our bubble here and say that that letter is a myth. Yes, Albert Pike wrote Morals and Dogma. Yes, Albert Pike talked about Lucifer, but no, Albert Pike did not, and I repeat, did not have a vision for 3 world wars. And this is perhaps the most popular myth that exists out there on the internet. Albert Pike didn't have exactly the gift of prophecy. He talked about Lucifer in Morals and Dogma, but he never laid out a plan for 3 world wars. That myth was created about 100 years ago by a man by the name of Leo Taxil. And what he did was popularize himself by creating fanciful tales, usually sold to Christians, about, there's going to be a plan for 3 world wars and we're going to consolidate power under Lucifer. However, the best myths contain the most amount of fact, but they're packaged in such a way as to get people to believe a lie. So yes, right now Islam and the Judeo-Christian world are being pitted against each other, but no, Morals and Dogma and Albert Pike never wrote about it.
Thanks for your call, Mark. That was a very great question.
Leonard, I actually have a question for you. Can you at least give me some of the names of some of the hierarchy that are so popular that were in the Illuminati or the Freemasonry who were in the secret society that names that we know of that we wouldn't even imagine that would be in this society in itself?
Do you mean today or back then?
Even back then, like we have what is it? The founder of the KKK, for instance. I couldn't even believe that he was a part of the Illuminati.
Yes, Albert Pike founded the KKK. The KKK stands for the Knights of the, or the Ku Klux Klan, is a reference to the Golden Circle in Greek language. And basically, at the time of the American Civil War, the Rothschilds tried to take over America because they saw that America was fast becoming the world's most powerful nation. And so what they did was the Rothschilds deliberately pitted the North against the South, especially considering that you had French and British troops thrown into the mix like vultures, just ready to feast on the carcass of what they thought would be a dead America. And they tried to manipulate America's demise by flooding the currency, which is a problem that we're seeing in the world today. So even though the Rothschilds tried to kill America by some miracle, I think, Lincoln came up with a brilliant solution about creating money that was later going to be backed by gold. And he managed to steer clear of the loan shark interest rates offered to Lincoln on behalf of the Rothschild bankers. That's right. That's right. Lincoln's greenbacks were created like the Federal Reserve's banknotes are today. However, Lincoln said that they would be backed eventually by gold.
Now, if you're talking about Lincoln during this time, now, of course, there was a situation with the slavery that he was trying to, of course, accomplish and fix. Now, would that have been the secondary problem? Because, of course, money would be the main focus for this whole situation. And now, John Wilkes Booth, wasn't he a part of the society as well, as far as like the golden coin?
Absolutely. You yourself said it the absolute best, Lindsay. Money was the primary problem, and racism was a secondary problem used as a cover for the first problem. Because Lincoln, of course, with the Emancipation Proclamation, he abolished slavery. And then 5 days later, or after the South surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a member of the Knights of the Golden Circle, shot Lincoln. So the Civil War was over. Lincoln abolished slavery, and then Lincoln gets shot by a member of the Knights of the Golden Circle which was headed up by Albert Pike.
Wow, it looks like the main focus here is all about who controls the money, because the minute you start printing your own money, you don't have a bright future in the world.
Exactly. And that, my friends, is exactly why Saddam Hussein had to be taken out of the equation by the United States. Saddam Hussein was starting to sell oil in euros. The United States couldn't handle that.
Hold that thought. We're at the bottom of the hour, but when we come back, we will talk more with Leonard Ulrich about the Illuminati and his research into the New World Order straight ahead. Back to what you were saying about the war of Saddam Hussein.
Yes, that's right. Just as the Rothschild bankers back during the American Civil War were trying to apply loan sharking interest rates to America, and were using British, French, and even Mexican troops to try to break up the United States for the Rothschilds' benefit, the central bankers which control the United States today and all but 5 countries on planet Earth didn't like it when Saddam Hussein started selling oil in euros and not U.S. Dollar bills. So that's exactly why Saddam Hussein had to be taken out of the equation. It was an absolute lie that Saddam Hussein had something to do with 9/11, which, in my opinion, is another giant lie. Saddam Hussein is on record as having nothing to do with 9/11, and even if you don't believe him, you can always go to YouTube and type in President Bush, Saddam Hussein, 9/11, where a reporter in the White House press gallery in about 2007, I believe, asks President Bush straight out, so what did Saddam Hussein have to do with 9/11? And President Bush, in his own words, says, nothing. Excuse me? I thought that's what the war on terror was all about. I thought Saddam Hussein was harboring members of Al-Qaeda, which is actually members of Al-Qaeda, and I thought that was responsible for 9/11. And no, it's not. So just like the American Civil War, you have a Carver story for financial tensions that were the real cause of the American Civil War and are the real cause of the war on terror today.
Wow. I want to go back to something that you were saying before about the education, about how the lack of education kind of helps out the Illuminati. And that brings to mind what's going on now with the whole SOPA thing. Do you believe that maybe the Illuminati has something to do with that?
Again, the Illuminati follow a particular philosophy. Let's wind the clock back and then go to the present, and I'll wind up that great question in about 1 minute. The Illuminati wanted absolute control. So they wanted to destroy all government, all private property, the traditional family, and all religion. They literally acted as intellectual farmers. And the first thing a farmer does when he looks at a field that hasn't been tilled before is literally rip up the existing structure. You plow it, you disc it, you harrow it, and then you put in your own crop. Well, that's exactly what's happening or has happened for the past 230 years or so with one country after the other. Those who follow the Illuminati philosophy and never were members of the original Illuminati love to invade countries under the pretext of war and destroy all existing structures, social, economic, you name it. And education is a primary target because in order to pull off these operations, the general public has to be convinced that what is happening to them is in their own best interest when it's not. For example, Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Well, that is now known as an absolute lie. But we needed to believe that. We needed to be educated falsely in order to justify the war on terror in our minds. And the whole educational system has been torn up, just like a farmer tears up a field in order to plant a crop. And we get told how to shop for the best loan, using the lowest possible interest rates, but we don't get told how to balance a checkbook. And as a former teacher, I think that's such a joke. There's so much that we're not told or are deliberately mistold by a small elite which has the ability to, by its sheer status, make fiction into facts, and then teachers simply repeat what they've been told.
Yeah, that is a fact. I remember reading a book. I can't remember the author, but he focused mainly on history and what real history was as opposed to what we are being taught in schools. So that's pretty much what you're talking about, right?
Yes, the best book on that subject is The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America by Sharda Thompson Iserbit, who was the Assistant Secretary of Education under Ronald Reagan. And she discovered truckloads, I mean literal truckloads of documents saying that we are deliberately dumbing down the educational system in America to make people more controllable. And the same thing is going on today.
Wow, that's I believe that. I mean, I see how the countries all around are not keeping up with the schools per se. You see that teachers are getting paid less and education is just being forgotten, and people are really getting their education from TV and the media itself, which from my understanding, is the media also controlled by higher powers on what they can, I mean, promote on TV and what they can show to the public?
In a word, absolutely. Because education is now not done in a classroom, it's done in the living room. And the big screen TV is your teacher. However, there are corporate interests which are following the Illuminati philosophy and are telling you things which clearly aren't true. For example, 2 weeks ago on a Canadian channel, a reporter is interviewed and is asked about the value of gold and how gold dropped down in value over the past couple weeks. And she, in her infinite wisdom, looks into the camera lens and says, well, gold is dropping in value because it's not backed by anything. It's not backed by any particular government. People are discovering this. And so, the price of gold is going down because people have lost confidence in it. Now, either she's lying or she's completely ignorant. And to suggest that gold isn't backed by anything is a lie, because let me tell you, gold is backed by gold. Paper is backed by paper. What do you think is harder to produce? That would be gold. That's right. That is exactly why the price of gold keeps going up and up and up. And in a couple of weeks' time, 4 weeks or less, President Obama is going to raise your debt ceiling by about another $1.2 trillion. And I'm just going to see the value of gold keep going up. Metal is money and cash is trash. But everyone thinks that pieces of paper are money. It's not. It's the greatest con game ever. And no one in the educational system will tell you that.
But if how valuable will gold be if everyone has it, though?
Well, first of all, everyone can't have it because there's a relatively finite supply, which is exactly why the value of gold keeps going up and up and up. You see, money has to be portable, it has to be divisible, and it has to have a store of value. And that's not what's going on with any paper currency. Politicians have two basic choices. Either they can keep printing money out of thin air. Most money in the world is actually digital dollars. Or they can introduce austerity programs and to pay for all the social programs which we've been slowly being increasingly dependent on. And here's the funny thing. The social programs aren't the problem. It's the banksters that are the problem. They've created huge hundreds of trillions of dollars of debt out of thin air, which never costs them anything. They sell it to us, and then when we can't pay it, and the banksters know full well we can't pay it, they just foot the bill to the government, which bails them out. So that which costs the banksters nothing is costing us everything. You're working for them, and the only way to help yourself.
Because money will be worthless if we keep printing money. So that's not the way to go. Do you think we're actually headed into a world of socialism or communism in this country alone?
You already are.
There you go.
Let's put it this way. China is the model. Let's look at China for a second. What you've got in China is hypercapitalism within communism. It's brilliant. So that's why you've got 1 million people working at the Foxconn factory to make products for Apple and Sony, Toshiba, Samsung. I could go on and on. And many people in that factory are threatening to commit suicide because they live in dormitories and they work 14 to 16-hour work days for 6 days a week, and they're literally killing themselves working. So they might as well kill themselves now, as far as they're concerned. And so while we enjoy all these trinkets and toys made from communist China, we don't understand that the very thing that we're working for is also being devalued. It's like a train wreck in slow motion. Because it's happening in slow motion, you're not really feeling the effects. But let me throw one fact at you. The average single income family in 1971 had more disposable money than the average dual income family does in 2011.
That is so true. I mean, it looks like, how is the United States going to pay its debt off? It looks like what I see from what's going on with the world, or per se the United States itself, is that nothing's getting better at this point, and I don't think it will get better. We're so far in debt, and everybody is just getting ignorant, is what I see.
Well, the richer get richer, the poorer get poorer, and the middle class, what is that saying?
What's that, Quentin?
What's that, Quentin?
The rich do none of the work, pay none of the taxes. The middle class do all the work, pay all the taxes, and the poor are there just to scare the middle class.
There you go.
George Carlin.
You got it.
So, Leonard, what's in store in the future for this country, basically?
Well, a certain infamous historical figure named Lenin said it the best. The best way to destroy a country is to destroy its currency. And that is exactly what is happening to the U.S. dollar. What's ironic right now is that the U.S. dollar looks artificially good because the euro is so bad. That is the only thing propping up the U.S. dollar at this point. Now, the euro is going to go down first, but it's going to take only weeks, not months, but weeks, until all that capital flees Europe, tries to go to the United States, and discovers that there's nothing there. It's like a rotten piece of wood. You can think you can put a nail or a screw into it, but it won't hold. So I would suggest that there is about a 70% chance, in my opinion, this is not fact, it's just opinion, that there will be a bank holiday in the next year or two. That's not a time to, relax in the sun. What that means is you're going to wake up one day and you're going to have the same amount of money in your bank account, but it's going to buy, let's say, 40% less than what it did the day before. And everyone suddenly is going to wake up. And I fear for that day. Because even though our grandparents and great-grandparents in the past faced challenges greater than what we will face, we have become so lazy in our 21st century, 24/7, ultra-convenient society that not being able to get a McBurger for the same price one day as before is going to seem like an insurmountable crisis. So the social impacts of the financial devaluation of America and the rest of the world is going to create a social crisis that is going to be used by the controllers as an excuse to clamp down.
Well, you actually said it yourself. The goal of the New World Order is a one world government, a one world economy, a one world society, and a one world religion controlled under one single ruler. I mean, you pretty much summed it up into one. And I think that's, we don't want to head to that state, of course, but I mean, it seems like we are going to that. And there's only, who knows what's going to happen in the future, and hopefully we don't head down that road. But, as far as what's happening right now, it seems like we are falling into that category.
Well, we are. And the only way to do it is to get rid of central banks. And that is extremely hard to do because the central banks are backed by armies. And those armies love to create problems, then control the reaction, and then offer the solution. For example, the problem of 9/11, in my opinion, was created, and then we were told that it was the product of Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein, and then we were all behind the war on terror. Well, 10 years later, how far have we gotten in the war on terror? Nowhere. I'll tell you where we've gotten. We've gotten $4 trillion in debt, more than we were on September 10th. No, you can't. How can you win a war that has no territory and no clearly defined enemy? This is impossible.
True, true. I was doing research for this topic, and one name kept coming up. I want to ask you about the name Svali. That apparently is a whistleblower. How much credence do you put in what Svali has to say?
I have no idea because until now, I've never heard of that name myself.
Oh.
Or Aleister Crowley, you mean?
No, Svali. It's
Oh, Svali. Svali. Okay. I do put credence in what she says. We don't know who she is, but she's describing that philosophy to a T. And even if Svali is a fake, and I have no reason to believe that she is because she's not selling books or anything, she's completely anonymous. There are hundreds of other people who have been brainwashed into being tools for the Illuminati philosophy and who have, by one way or another, escaped from that situation and are spilling the beans, and their stories are almost identical. And one victim of this evil philosophy is by the name of Kathy O'Brien. Now, she wrote a book called The Transformation of America, as in trance, as in hypnosis, transformation. And, she starts talking about mind control and hypnosis and being used as a courier of information from one party within the New World Order to another. Because the best way to convey information is to never write it down, just literally put it into somebody's mind and then have them regurgitate that to somebody else. And in case people are rolling their eyes out there in your audience tonight saying, oh, mind control, this isn't possible, just keep in mind what happens when you are a member of the infantry in any army. You are literally dissociated from your family and friends. You are shaved. You are clothed identically. You are yelled at. You are overworked, underfed, and you are literally broken down into a childlike form and then built up into the individual that the army wants you to be, which is exactly why it's called the infantry in the first place.
Wow.
What can you tell me about the CFR?
The Council on Foreign Relations was the brainchild of the Rockefellers, which are the Rothschilds of America, who became wealthy under the discovery of oil. And the CFR dictates policy in America. And in my movie on the internet, which you can watch for free, I got a clip of Hillary Clinton at the CFR, and she's talking about, oh, now we don't have to go so far to be told what to do and how we should be thinking about the future. Now, for an egomaniac like Hillary Clinton to say, now we can be told what to do so much faster and easier, says a lot.
Well, you speaking about Hillary Clinton actually brought up a question for me. You know, we have the pipeline that's actually supposed to be built in Canada, as a matter of fact, and Obama and Hillary actually opposed that. And why do you think they did oppose that? And you think there's something going on there besides what it is?
Absolutely. This is all part of the intentional deindustrialization of the West in favor of the industrialization of China. Now, you can say what you want about oil and coal and how they're environmentally harmful, and they are. But while we're debating this, China has no problem building 2 or 3 coal-fired or oil-powered factories or generators per week. Now, we have to have a major fight about, having a pipeline, once every couple of years. And China's building their infrastructure 10, 15 times faster than we are. And China doesn't have to abide by half the environmental regulations that we do. And this is all intentional. This is about neo-feudalism. This is about literally not being able to afford any land or any food unless you work for it and the elite give it to you.
This is some very scary stuff.
Very scary.
It makes a lot of sense. I believe in it. The way the country's going. I mean, the United States is a great place to live, but the way I see it now, it's like we're not creating anything. And when there's an opportunity to create something, it gets shot down. Like it doesn't matter anything to the United States, and everybody works hard for their money, but yet they get nowhere no more at this day and age.
This pipeline would have created 20,000 jobs. And I mean,
that's what I didn't get. That was like political suicide for Obama at this time.
Especially during election time coming up in November.
Right, but there has to be something there for him to say no. There's got to be something there. He knows. I mean, a one-term president doesn't want to make a decision.
Quentin, if you look, and not to cut you off, but if you look, Leonard, doesn't he wear that ring as well? And didn't he actually go to that, what was that, Mike, that you said? The Bilderberg?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I'm going to say a statement which I think your audience is going to be challenged with, but I want you to think about it. Bush is Obama, and Obama is Bush. There's no difference.
Because they're both politicians.
Yes, that's true. But really, when you sit back and you think about it, you were sold Barack Obama as the exact opposite of Bush. And what has happened now 4 years or 3 years later? Nothing. Nothing has changed. The only thing that America produces now, and this is not a bash on America. I love America. I think it's the greatest country on earth, and this is coming from a Canadian. The only thing that the United States has been forced to produce now is war and debt. It does that extremely well.
I mean, yeah, that's all I see. Leonard, we are running out of time here, and we would love you to come back for part 2 on this because it's a fascinating, fascinating topic. And I know a lot of listeners out there would like to hear more, so we offer you and extend you the invitation to come back if you're willing for next week.
I absolutely am.
For next week,
Sure.
Absolutely.
And before you go, could you tell everybody the name of your movie?
Yes, it's called New World Order, Secret Societies, and Biblical Prophecy. It is a 2.5-hour movie that usually takes people 4 hours to watch because a lot of information is compressed into that movie. I encourage people to pause the movie and read the documents that I have on the screen. I don't like conspiracy theory. I like conspiracy fact.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Are you working on any other projects besides the one you're doing right now?
Yes, the movie that's on YouTube, which I just described, has 250,000 views already in the first 10 months. I thought it would never get over 10,000. Boy, was I wrong. And I'm currently working on volumes 2 and 3, and you'll get introduced to that when you watch volume 1.
Well, everybody, so far you're getting a lot of hits, and I urge everybody to go out there on Leonard Ulrich's YouTube channel to watch his film he created, NWO Secret Societies and Biblical Prophecy. And you'll be seeing him again on the next episode as we do part 2 on the Paranormal Beyond. So, Leonard, thanks for being on the show. We'll talk to you next week. And everybody out there, stay safe and take care.